This video is brought to you by RV 360 Solutions, where we're bringing the RV industry full circle by providing inspections, consulting, and training. Where I live, we very seldom get any kind of real rain, and certainly not, inches at a time. So on my 2022 Grand Design Reflection 303 RLS, I never really noticed any kind of issues with water intrusion. But a few months ago, I was in Texas, and we had just a huge downpour and driving winds. And on the inside, underneath the dining room table, there was a pretty good amount of water. So somewhere along here, again, this is the dining room area window, this thing is leaking. So I got a hold of Lippert, and they said we'll do a water intrusion test, which I did. So now that I know where the water is coming from, I'm going to go ahead and peel off this outer, it's a vinyl rubber kind of thing. This is not a seal, and that's really important to note that, trying to put silicone anywhere around this isn't going to do you any good, because the glass is what's actually sealed. So I'm going to go ahead and peel that off. All the way up to the top there, and we'll come back and see what I find underneath there. All right, so I got this outer rubber, whatever you want to call it, pulled off around the outside edge, and then I also pulled off this little piece down here. So I was thinking I could possibly get some silicone in here. I can see down here where there is a bead of silicone at the bottom. So my guess is this glass actually has a bead of silicone on the inside of it. All right, so what I did is took just a spring hook and got in between that metal frame and the glass, and just went around and tried to peel out as much of the silicone as I could. You have to remember that the problem with silicone is it doesn't stick to itself. So whenever you're trying to seal something like this up, you need to get the old silicone out of there. Now there's going to be a bead of silicone behind this glass that's holding it in place. So what I'm trying to do is just get that silicone out that's between this metal frame and the glass, and then I'm going to try and run a bead down along here, and we'll see how it goes. So one thing that I'm finding is there are a couple of spots where I can work my spring hook underneath the glass. And so obviously when they put this thing together, they didn't do a great job of sealing behind this glass. So kind of right in this area, it just doesn't seem like the silicone got between the glass and the inside of this frame. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean the silicone out all the way around this one side. So you can see there's these two pieces of aluminum that I'm not sure I could even get out of there. So I'm gonna seal from here all the way around to here. And again, remember, it's just this side of the window that is leaking on me. Gonna go ahead and get some silicone in there and we'll do a leak test. All right, so I got some silicone up in there, and the only way I'm really gonna know if this is gonna work or not is to let this dry and see how it comes out. So and clean up around here a little bit better. You can see there's a little bit of silicone up in that groove I need to get cleaned out, but for the most part, between the window and that aluminum, I think I got it pretty well sealed up. Okay, so it's been about 24 hours since I put some silicone around this window. So getting ready to put that trim piece back on. Just kind of wanted to show you what it looks like. So you can see there's a little bead of silicone now between the glass and that aluminum frame, which I'm hoping is enough to stop the leak. So let me go ahead and get that trim piece back on, and we'll do a leak test and see how it comes out. Got everything set up to do my water test. So just a sprinkler head nozzle on my garden hose, and we can get this adjusted. Alright, so we have a pretty good spray, and I'm mainly focused on that side of the window. So let's go inside and take a look, see if we have any leaks. Alright, so last time we did this test, the problem was right along here somewhere. And we're going to let this run for a few minutes, but basically the water was running down, traveling along here, and then dripping down onto the floor. So far, everything seems to be dry. I'm going to go out and increase the pressure a little bit. Alright, so let me just see if I can bump this up just a little bit. Make sure the whole side. So yeah, that would be a pretty good range. At this point, everything is still nice and dry in here. don't feel any water anywhere along that edge. And you can see it's cascading down pretty good out there. Yeah, normal rain, especially sitting underneath that awning, we wouldn't see that kind of water coming down that window. Alright, we're going to let it run for a few more minutes. And then I'm actually going to come over and just check this side as well. Make sure that we don't have a leak over there. But at this point, I'm very happy with my fix. So just a little side note about these windows. So in my trailer, these are single pane windows. And yeah, when there's a big temperature difference inside and outside, especially when it's cold outside and you got the heater running in here, a lot of condensation builds up on this glass. So that condensation is going to tend to want to run down your window. And these windows have a track built into them that's designed to capture any water that comes down. And I'll show you when we get back outside that there are weep holes out there that allow that water to escape. So when I'm doing a leak test like the one I just did, this is a sliding window. This side slides. So you can only imagine that pouring that much water over this thing, there's going to be a little bit of leakage, especially at the top and over on that side, where we're not going to have a great seal for this slider window. So another function of this track down here is just to make sure any water that does penetrate is gonna go down and into this track. It's all gonna be collected and it's gonna run out those weep holes. So again, when we get outside, we'll take a look at those weep holes, but it's really important to note because like I said, these windows do tend to sweat a lot, and you don't want that condensation running down the wall inside of your trailer. Okay, so we're back outside and I just turned the water off. You can see it's still pretty wet and dripping. So you can see I put this rubber, vinyl, whatever it is, trim piece back in. And remember, this is not a seal. So while it will help to deflect that water away from the window, it doesn't actually seal, which is why, you know, we have these joints where we go from this aluminum piece to this vinyl rubber and then in the corners, but it is not a seal. So talked a little bit about on the inside about that track, and these are the weep holes where any water that gets in that track, either from condensation or from rain, will run out these weep holes. And there is a little bit of water coming out. It's probably not something my camera's going to pick up, but yeah, this weep hole is doing its job. And I've noticed after this thing, after I wash it or whatever, I can see streaks of water underneath all of these. So that's definitely doing its job. And looks to me like we got our window leak issue fixed. Yeah, so again, very happy with this, and we're going to call this a success.